And hey, hello and good morning. I'm David Bowles. This is Bowles.tv. BOLES.television. We should be streaming live, and I do see the closed captions are still operating and working. Now, if I could only fix the echo in my headphones, life would be great. But life is almost great, which is good enough for me and good enough for government work. My face is not quite looking as red as it usually does. I don't know why. None of it makes any sense. I just sit here, turn on things, and hope it all works. So far, so good. But you never know. The day is young. So as you know, we've been working on our closed captions, open captions, screen CC, web caption, experimental captioning from OBS, and we finally have figured it out. But should it really be this hard? That's the question. It should not be this hard. I would say I'd be very curious to know if you plugged in an identical set of headphones, would the same echo happen? Probably yes, because even when I'm not broadcasting and I test this, it's the echo. Because my headphones plug directly into the back of my microphone, which is my Wave 3. So I have the sound out, and then this is my headphones in. And I've tried headphones out. I've tried wireless headphones. I've tried plugging directly into the computer. It's very weird. And a little concerning. But maybe I should check into my wireless buds again. Not use Apple, but use something that's a little cleaner. But I don't know if that would work, because it all has to run through the WaveLink software, which is what then gives me the ability to hear what's going on in the stream. It's a big mess, but at least it's working so far. We keep hoping. But this captioning issue could be solved in the snap of a finger if Twitch would just do it natively and offer it. But they don't, for some reason. Don't understand it. And if you go to their user forum, for 4 years, there's a thread that's like 1,000 messages long with people asking for closed captions. What's wrong? Why can't you do it? Why won't you offer it? And Twitch doesn't ever reply. But when you're a part of the conversation and say, hey, I'm voting this up, then you get messages when other people post new comments on that stream. Then nobody understands it. All I can think of is it's too expensive. And some of these streamers go like for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, and they don't want to pay for it, but it's all automatic now. That's what's the strangest thing. With Google, Microsoft, it's not a person doing the transcription, which is why it's a little bit strange sometimes. But it all usually works. Usually works. But as Jan Marie says, hey, automatic captions better than nothing. And if you're old enough and deaf enough, there have been times in your life where you have had nothing. And it has been technology that has assisted and helped the deaf community become a little bit more involved in mainstream average society. Talk about one of them right now. Now, I'm slightly torn on these sorts of stories because they're always told emotionally, not thoughtfully or intellectually, from the point of view of the poor disabled person who has been suffering all of their lives. So this is a new invention in the UK about smart glasses, allowing those darn deaf people to see conversations with subtitles. Now, subtitles is not the correct term. The subtitles are for translating from one language into another. English, American Sign Language, English written. I don't think it's the right term. Smart glasses allow deaf people to view captioned conversations is a better title for me. And as we look at this story, I am reminded of Google Glass, which turned out to be a giant flop. Was supposed to do the same thing. Listen to the environment around you and caption it and put it in your glass. Never happened. Then there are these contraptions that some movie houses have. If you go see a live movie, although I don't know if I would ever want to use one of those again. If I were deaf in a theater, Jana has used it, liked it. With monkeypox and COVID, and they give you a set of glasses, sort of, that has a transmitter, and you put it on, and it kind of captions what's being said on the screen. And Jenna liked it, but it was big, technologically clunky, and honestly, this was 2 or 3 years ago, really filthy. They did not clean the glasses between users. Commissioner Gordon Davidescu, founder, Gordon says, these glasses at least look like glasses and not give one the appearance of the Borg, as the Google Glass did. Very true. The ones in the movie theaters are very ugly, very clunky. And I tried them on, and they did work. Better than nothing. But as I said, they were not very sanitary. And in the new world of pandemics and COVID, I guess you could bring your own cleaning towels and, clean it up with a wipe or something, but it has a lot of wires and a great big battery and a transmitter. I don't know. But when you want to see a big movie, and that's your only choice to put on the contraption, you put on the contraption. So here's the story from the UK. I'm sharing this because it's sort of interesting, but also just slightly disgusting. The glasses have voice recognition that can identify speech. A pair of augmented reality smart glasses will now allow deaf people to see conversations in real time. Isn't it clever? X-ray glasses. X-ray 1 glasses, I think that's an I. X-ray glasses uses augmented reality to convert audio into captions that appear in front of the eyes of those who wear the glasses. The first of its kind? Not really. Smart glasses are tethered to a phone and aims to enable the deaf community to engage in everyday conversations. The glasses have voice recognition that can identify speech. Now, I don't believe it's the glasses. I believe it's the phone it's tied to. It can even identify speech, and the company hopes to develop the technology to translate languages. It is planning to reach 70,000 of people by the end of 2023. And here we go. The company shared a video of a deaf woman trying the glasses for the very, very first time, and her delight at seeing the technology in action. Diana, who uses sign language to communicate, blown away by the text appearing on the glasses in front of her, and she says she is honored. And the caption of the video says, "Deaf person breaks down in tears when trying smart glasses with subtitled speech." I will discuss that in a moment. I guess this is her crying. We are so proud of the ability of this innovative technology to enrich the lives of poor deaf people who have hearing loss, so they can maximize their potential. Whether that means being able to have a conversation while continuing to make dinner, or keeping a conversation going while walking with a friend. The British company has partnered with AI company Nreal to create consumer-ready AR glasses. X-ray glasses, here you go. They're going to cost you £400. And then you pay £35 a month. Or maybe that's the payment plan. So, here are my issues with this. I think it's wonderful technology. I think it's great. I think the whole thing is skewed to impress hearing people, not deaf people, because deaf people are very smart and they know that this is not going to work as advertised. First of all, it's relying on the iPhone to do the translation. Probably Google Translation, which works very well. I've used it many times to speak to people who speak Chinese, German, on the street, where we live, big city, you meet a lot of people. And you can actually speak into the Google app that translates, and it translates it into a language, and will even speak that language as if you were speaking to them in real time. So they're using proprietary software and technology that does not belong to them. It belongs to your iPhone, which is good. That's fine. I just wish they'd make that clear. So what they're doing is either plugging in or Bluetoothing, but I believe it has to be a wire, because Bluetooth is not going to be able to handle that kind of text. Plugging into the iPhone, and then the glasses are showing the words on the screen that are being translated. So this is not a professional translation. Environment is very, very sticky and very, very picky. I do not believe that these glasses would work outside on a walk with your friend. There are too many environmental sounds around. Now, maybe they have technology where the iPhones can speak to each other, or the friend could speak into her iPhone, and then it gets translated into the friend's iPhone into her glasses. But just having a general open walking conversation, a natural conversation like that hearing people have walking down the street, this technology is not able to handle that, I guarantee you. Now, these look like sunglasses and not regular glasses, which is probably because they need to have a little bit of a dark background so you can see the text, because you're out in bright sunlight. So wearing sunglasses inside while making dinner? Okay. Some people might say a little weird. The glasses you use when you're in the movie theater is dark. And the captions have kind of a shading behind them, so when you watch the bright light of the flickering screen, you can actually read the captions. Now, 6 months ago, we did a story on how they were bringing captions to contact lenses. New technology. Deaf people crying all over the world, as the contact is proven to work. So they have this contact they put over your eye that's linked to something, because the glasses, the contact, cannot do the heavy processing of the translation. So you're relying on something else to do it, which is fine, because deaf people rely on an interpreter, something else to interpret for them normally. So that's part of their culture. That's fine. And the captioning contact is they can see it on their eye. They don't have to wear glasses. They don't have to be tethered to anything. Okay, great idea. Tested it, allegedly. Lots of crying, lots of weeping, lots of PR. Oh, where are they? 3 or 4 months ago, we did an article right here on this Bulls.tv live stream. It's BOLES.TV, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And this too this thing, wired a phone. And you plugged your phone into this mask, because we're in COVID times, right? And this mask had an LED panel across the front. And whatever that person spoke was printed in an LED screen, scrolling screen, in sort of real time. Deaf people crying all over the world for the mask. Now, that was sort of interesting technology that they demonstrated and saw was working. But there you go. It's for hearing people to maybe help deaf people. But the question is, who's getting the mask? Who's paying for the mask? Who's paying for the technology to plug into the mask? And how are deaf people going to get hearing people to put that mask on? It's very difficult right now, even in the sort of aftermath of a pandemic, for a deaf person to ask another deaf person, or even a hearing person, I cannot hear you, even though I might have cochlear implants or hearing aids, I cannot hear you. Would you mind just pulling down your mask just so I could read your lips? Some people will do it. Some people will refuse. Not doing it. And then what do you do? So you think you're going to deal with hearing people and get them to either buy or put on this LED captioning mask. Great proof of concept. Not really real world specific. Now, talking about cochlear implants, there are people who get them, and there are lots of videos online when the cochlear implant is turned on, and the deaf people hear the world around them for the first time, and there is weeping and just thumping. Okay, fine. Natural, real, I don't know. But for hardcore deaf people, it's a little bit sad and disconcerting to see people react that way against who they are. And who they are, if they're a little bit older, if they're 5 years old, 6 years old, they have been in deaf culture and in a deaf community since the day they were born. They may not like it, they may not be aware of it, but their parents and their doctors are very aware of it and want them to become hearing as quickly as possible, which means cochlear implantation. Now, it used to be, we have to intervene. 5 years old, intervene, get that cochlear implant in there. $56,000, please. Then, no, we have to intervene earlier. 2 years old, put it in. And there are people who say, well, let the child decide. Oh, no, it's too late. The child cannot decide because we are now doing infant implantations of cochlear implants because the child cannot be left behind. But this is false. This is technology. This is not natural. It doesn't matter. We cannot have deaf people. We must implant them at the earliest possible moment. If we could with these women, we would go in and we would do it when they are fetuses. We would find out that they are deaf. We would sniff them out. And we would have a constitutional amendment in Kansas saying that all fetuses must be implanted with cochlear implants. Let the deaf begin their weeping. Deaf no more. So there is a cultural conflict with the medical view of deafness. Now, there are deaf people who don't want to be deaf. They don't want to be part of the community. They may have been deaf, but they prefer mainstreaming. They prefer having hearing friends over deaf friends. So some of these deaf people don't get one cochlear implant. they get 2. 1 is not enough. I want to cry twice. And they implant themselves 2 times, which seems very odd to me, because it destroys your cochlea. So if your implant goes bad or gets old or the technology becomes out of date, you can hopefully be able to upgrade it, but maybe not. So that's why they prefer just to do 1 ear and leave, if there's any left, residual hearing in the other ear for future purposes. But there are some deaf people who say, no. I'm not deaf. I'm hearing. Do you see I have 2 implants in my head? Not a Borg, not a sunglasses wearer. I am a hearing person. And the unfortunate fact is, it's not really true. But what are you going to do when you have hearing people around you saying, look, we need to have some crying here. We have to fix you. You are broken. Your ears don't work. That makes you an inferior person. You will not be successful in the world. So therefore, we are going ahead and doing the fetal implant on you, even though you're only 12 weeks old. Decision made. The gods have fixed you. No need for any smart glasses. No need for any more dumb technology. Because we, the medical profession, have cured deaf culture. And that's the sad reality of the world in which we live. And now we're taking a very brief blood pressure break, returning in a moment. And hey, we're back here on Boles TV, BOLES.television, BOLES.tv. I have to fix this. Go up, go down, go all around. Now I'm not being cut off. Not really. Maybe I'm a little bit. Anyway. Am I talking to myself? Yes. So what a morning this has been. And somebody just sent me a DM who's listening to this broadcast and said, oh boy, you're saying these doctors hate deaf people. And I'm not saying, well, maybe they don't hate deaf people, but they hate deafness. That's the whole idea behind their money-making scheme. Hey, welcome to Wednesday. Carrying on, here's our favorite clubbing boy, our perfect person for the Hittable Faces subreddit. Yes, it's Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri. Go Rebels, yeah! Go inside the Senate building. I'm running away from January 6th people. I'm very scared. Go get them. Big phony. Nobody likes him. And now the Onion is taking him on. And yes, it's the Pure Cunt Onion. Nothing's there, nothing inside, just an empty, wretched wretch of a human being. So hey, controversial Missouri Senator Josh Hawley is releasing a new book titled Manhood: The Masculine Virtues Americans Need, as a defense of masculinity and its role in Americana and democracy. While the book won't be released for nearly a year, The Onion, hey, was able to secure an early draft. Here are the biggest revelations in manhood. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, don't tell me I can't see it. Oh. It's not working. Oh, it's so funny. It's because it's too small, I guess. Let me try reloading and see if that'll work. Oh, we can't make fun of Josh Hawley. Oh, I don't know what happened. We'll just scroll down. I guess Josh Hawley is a favorite of The Onion. Oh, I guess it is. It's not doing it that way, but we're just scrolling. Okay, so that's the first slide. This is the second slide. I guess Hawley was voted as high school classes most likely to flee an insurrection. His former classmates noticed his cowardice even back then. Oh, it's delightful. Oh, and it's The Onion. Masculinity is under attack. Women are trying to destroy the beloved male traits of violence and misogyny. Real men have at least a 90% NRA approval rating. One quantifiable measure of masculinity is how strongly you can resist passing gun control reform in the face of weekly massacres of school children. Hawley grew up in Manhood, Missouri. The book centers on life in the slow country town of Hawley's youth. Hawley blames the masculinity crisis on Olaf from Frozen. No one has done more damage to American masculinity than Olaf, Hawley writes. He is made of snow. He will never be a real man. There is no male nudity, so don't waste your time looking. Holly decries the lack of men in the WNBA. Sexism, plain and dry. Real men don't need to access affordable health care. Explaining his opposition to Obamacare, Holly argues testosterone is a natural remedy for any ailment. I love these photographs of Holly because just the way he looks, naturally, in his own life, he is mocking himself. And he doesn't realize it, which is the best part. Evil witches slip into your bedroom at night to siphon away your masculinity. Sprinkle salt around your bed at dusk to ward off these harpies. Don't even put words in these political prop books anymore. Most of the book is just the words placeholder and a Josh Hawley TK repeated in different fonts. He can't write a sex scene to save his life. The number of adverbs and split infinitives that distract from any erotic content is one thing. But phrases like sweatily fumbling ball of limbs are barely comprehensible, let alone titillating. Michael Connelly will really give a blurb for anything. Does an endorsement from the master of suspense really mean anything at this point? I don't even know who Michael Connelly is, but I laughed anyway. It focuses on the traits that define manhood. Several chapters are devoted to penis size, penis length, penis girth, penis area, penis agility, penis responsiveness, penis resilience, and penis decorum. And if you watch Josh Hawley in the Senate, he does this a lot, this Bill Clinton thing, and pointing and shaming people. Ugh. He believes Missouri is the 27th or 28th best state. He repeatedly stresses that he is fine, but not especially thrilled with representing the mediocre people of Missouri. And my question is, how did this guy get elected? I mean, is it all just about money now? Because you listen to him speak for 5 minutes, you think, who could stand this guy? Why would we want him to represent us in the United States Senate? All he says his wife is a 7. The Missouri senator goes on to argue that 7 is actually quite good and far above average for the typical U.S. female, especially in Missouri. His favorite shape is a rhombus. Obviously not expecting anyone to make it that far in the book, the last couple of chapters are just rambling observations about his favorite shapes and colors. Hawley shares a list of things that are appropriate and not appropriate for American men to masturbate to. Appropriate? A blonde bison? Breasts oozing apple pie filling? A nun in a cowboy hat. Inappropriate? 2 robots kissing. That's my favorite one. It's hilarious. Hawley has never tried fruit, which I think is true of 99.99% of any man from the Midwest. And Josh Hawley's not going to try fruit, no matter how much his wife begs him, because he's the head of the household. Fruit and vegetables, 2 things you don't need. Potato is not a vegetable. Potato is part of the steak. All proceeds from book sales will go towards Hawley's skull reshaping surgery. Maybe that is what's so strange about him. If there's any money left after that, he's going to get limb lengthening surgery too. Go Rioters! He can't effing believe he's still in Congress. Now that I believe. That's not even funny. That's true. Chapter 12 deals with how floored he remains that his Democratic colleagues are too cowardly to hold him accountable for clearly seditious acts. And Commissioner Gordon says from Florida, somewhat related, morons claim that plant-based meat is going to put farmers out of business. As if plants get grown by how? Yes, we'll be discussing some of that a little bit later. As France outlaws meat labels for non-meat products, which we dealt with in the United States and London as well, where a veggie burger had to be called a plant disc. Oh, and that's it. I thought we had one last slide, but I guess that was it. Oh, that was the best one. Josh Hawley, not just for breakfast anymore. And this guy wants to be president. And there are people saying, oh, wouldn't he be the greatest vice president we've ever had? He's young, he's fiery, he's good looking. Oh, he's from the Midwest. Oh, they love him in the Midwest. Ask all the Missouri women. Speaking of punchable faces, oh boy, this popped up yesterday, New York Magazine. It's a beautiful, beautiful takedown of Donald Trump. I wanted to say the madness of Donald Trump, but it's not a takedown, it's a support. It is a supportive article explaining just how mad, insane Donald Trump is. And they don't really talk about his politics or his policies. No. They talk about Donald Trump's obsession with his daughter, Ivanka, and mysteriously, Tom Brady. And he's been trying to put them together as a couple, even though each one are individually married, putting them together because he wants Tom Brady as his son-in-law. And as he says in this article, which is my new motto, telling the White House staff, I could have had Tom Brady, but I got Jared Kushner. Now you could use that for anything. I could have had a cochlear implant, but I got Jared Kushner. I could have had the monkeypox vaccine, but I got Jared Kushner. And a lot of this comes from Jared's new book that's coming out. So this is straight from the insulted. Imagine for a moment you're Jared Kushner back in 2009. At just 28 years old, you're already a real estate magnate and publisher of New York Observer. Now, right there, it infuriates me. Comes from a rich family, has all of his family money, and is making like this is Jared's success. Not his success, his parents' success. Best of all, you've reunited with your girlfriend, Ivanka Trump. Things are getting serious. She's converting to Judaism for you, and you're planning to pop the question. There's only one problem. You have to break the news to her dad, Donald J. Trump, who recently sent you an angry letter because he feels the Observer ranked him too low on its annual power list. This whole article is so deliciously written. Ivanka's urging you, Jared Kushner, get set up with lunch with her dad in Trump Tower. You feel your voice shake as you tell the Celebrity Apprentice host you want to marry his daughter. And she wants to convert. There's a terrifying pause. Then he says, that's great. Most people think I'm Jewish anyway. Most of my friends are Jewish. I have all these awards from synagogues. They love me in Israel. And then the research happens. A timeline breakdown of the punchline, I got Jared Kushner. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if Jared Kushner wakes up one day and says to himself in the mirror, I could have been Tom Brady, but I got Jared Kushner. It's articles like this that really endear you to Donald Trump because you realize he's just absolutely out there, doesn't really know anything or care about anything other than celebrity, other than having a little bit of power and being respected and telling people what to do. You sort of, in some ways, terrible ways, have to respect the madness. January 2004, Trump claims Brady would like to date Ivanka. During an appearance on the Howard Stern show, Trump declared that he wouldn't let Stern or himself date his then 22-year-old daughter Ivanka because they're disgusting people, not because he's her dad. But Trump said he'd be delighted if his daughter started seeing Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the quarterback, is somebody that really likes Ivanka. And he's a great guy, and I got to know him at the Miss Universe contest, Trump said. And you'd be okay with him dating your daughter, Howard Stern said. Oh, I think he's great. He's 25 years old. He's Mr. All-American. Is he dating your daughter, Stern asks. Well, it could happen. That's Judy Tenuta, by the way. He's quoting Judy Tenuta. It could happen. I mean, he'd like to, and we'll see, Trump said, noting that Brady was now focused on football stuff. October 2004, Trump says Brady would make any father-in-law proud. Playboy asked Trump, hey Trump, about Ivanka's reaction to his trying to make a match between her and Patriots quarterback. He suggested he was just teasing his friend Tom, but made it clear they'd be great together. I kid Tom. He's a friend of mine. I think he's a great character. I got to know him when he was a judge at a jitterbug contest I entered at the Patriots after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's a winner, and by that I mean every time he needs to make a pass, he makes it. What does Ivanka think? Well, my daughter has a boyfriend. Stuck with Jared Kushner. And she's happy with him, Jared Kushner. But Tom Brady, oh, now that would make any father proud. 2009, Trump warns Kushner that Brady is after Ivanka. Oh, it's so delicious. But he just got married. In Breaking History, Jared Kushner says that Trump delivered his warning a few months before he asked for Ivanka's hand in marriage. The two got engaged in July 2009. In an interview with Intelligencer days later, Ivanka gushed about her fiancé, stuck with Jared Kushner, and said they had no plans to work together as it's healthy to have separate interests. They got married in a private ceremony in February 26. News of their nuptials was widely reported at the time, so it's unclear why Brady's very good pal Trump still thought his daughter had a shot with him. 2017, Ivana, this is the mother who just died, Ivana says her daughter had no interest in Tom Brady. In her 2017 book, Raising Trump, Trump's ex-wife, Ivana suggested her daughter was never on board with her father's matchmaking. Ivanka preferred to keep her personal life to herself. At one point, the Donald wanted her to date Tom Brady. He said, "You have to meet him." But Ivanka wasn't into it. 2020. Tom Brady says he never pursued Ivanka. Brady, who's been making a habit of disappointing Trump in recent years, clarified in an interview in April with Stern that he and Ivanka never even dated. Trump always dreamed of you marrying Ivanka, and he told me he suggested it to you, but did you ever go out with her? Howard Stern asked. Well, that was a long time ago in my life. No, there was never where we ever dated or anything like that, Tom Brady said. I don't know if Trump, ever suggested it to me. I need tape on that. 2016 to 2020, Trump uses non-existent relationship to taunt. I got stuck with Jared Kushner and Tom Brady. The public record shows pretty clearly that the only person pulling for a Tom Brady-Ivanka Trump romance was Donald Trump. And Trump likes his actual son-in-law enough that he hired him as a White House advisor along with Ivanka and gave him a big portfolio to work on. But it seems that whenever Kushner got on his bad side, the president would mock him over his wife's totally imaginary relationship with the football star. In July 2018, the New York Times reported that people in the president's orbit had heard him quipping that he could have had a more spectacular son-in-law. Here we go. The money quote is coming up. Several times, Mr. Trump joked that he could have had Tom Brady as a son-in-law. Instead, the president said, according to 5 people who heard him, I got Jared Kushner. I could have had Chipotle for lunch, but I got Jared Kushner. In March 2019, the paper reported that Trump had also disparaged Kushner to Patriots owner Robert Kraft. He would joke that Ms. Trump could have married Tom Brady, the quarterback for the New England Patriots, and once joked to Robert K. Kraft, the team's owner, that Jared is half the size of Tom Brady's forearm. And this comes from the short-fingered vulgarian. Very interesting how we choose to fight our battles. And to top it all off, Trump has reportedly poked fun at Tom Brady for his failure to win over a woman he never wanted to date in the first place. In 2019 appearance on the Daily Beast's Omni Shambles podcast, former Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller recalled a birthday voicemail Trump left for Brady in August 2016. Miller said the first 30 seconds of the message were pretty conventional, with Trump praising Brady for being the greatest football player of all time. Then, Trump said, there's only one thing you weren't able to do. And he's like, Ivanka chose Jared. That's the only thing you weren't able to win at, Tom Brady. Sincerely, Donald Trump. Happy birthday. And there you go. The madness of the king is live and in person. And we're going to take a very brief blood pressure break. And when we return, we're going to hear from Tom Brady about his relationship with Donald Trump. Hey, and Janet Marie says, this cracks me up. What a guy. And Gordon says, Dan Quayle 2.0. Now, I, several years ago, would laugh at that. But I now think that Dan Quayle is incredibly impressive. He put up with all that teasing. I did make fun of Sarah Palin by saying she's Dan Quayle with a ponytail. Wrote about it in bowlsblogs.com. And Dan Quayle is the one who told Mike Pence. Mike Pence called and said, look, Donald Trump wants me to overturn this election. What do I do? And Dan Quayle, that Dan Quayle, said you cannot do it. So, people change. And they only change in the context of the outrageous madness that was the Trump administration. Oh, Gordon was referring to Josh Hawley, by the way. I don't think that Dan Quayle ever had a streak of cruelty in him. That's quite honorable of him, Gordon says. Josh Hawley I find to be mean and spiteful. But maybe that's just me. And maybe it's because I'm from Nebraska. So I recognize those types from the Show Me State. The not so great state of Missouri. But hey, Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Back in a moment. And hey, we are back from break. I'm David Bowles. This is Bowles.tv. BOLES.television. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Hey. During the break, Gordon said, hey, one thing I remember about the very first episode of Bewitched is Darren saying, I'm from Missouri. And that's the show me state. And that was his way of saying he wanted Samantha to prove she was a witch. Yikes. And then Gordon puts a little emote here that I look at, and it looks like it's some kind of animal writing a note. Probably talking about Josh Hawley, and I'm missing it. We can't talk enough about Josh Hawley. He is much, much more dangerous than Donald Trump, but not as dangerous as Ron DeSantis. Excuse me. Hotbox by my neighbor. I spent most of the break laughing because I'm out there. How could a man like Donald Trump become president of the United States? And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I find the whole thing shocking to me. Because he doesn't care about the job. It says, cannot wait to vote against Ron. You know, Gordon, I've changed my mind on that. You have to do everything you can do to keep Ron in Florida. I think it's your new assignment as a member of the human race and for the goodness of America and for the prosperity of the world. And you have to keep him there so he doesn't run for president of the United States. You broke him, you keep him. You broke him, you bought him. He broke you, you buy him. Whatever the phrase is. We don't want him. Keep him in Florida. We're going to talk about him coming up too. But first... This was an article recently published in People magazine about Tom Brady and his side of the non-existent Ivanka Trump relationship. Now, I am not a Jared Kushner fan. I think he has dead eyes. I think he's very creepy, pasty looking. When Ivanka looked at him, did she see money or did she see a human being that she would love and cherish forever? I don't know. But in the January 6th committee hearings and his interview, he is very cruel and very dismissive. He's no Tom Brady. And I don't even know Tom Brady. That's our Dan Quayle reference. Now, Tom Brady, a lot of people love Tom. I sort of don't. I think you have to take the good with the bad, and people with Tom Brady only want to take the good. You can idolize Tom Brady, you can look up to him, as long as you also admit that Tom Brady is a confirmed cheater. Cheating in the game of football. With Deflategate, where he manipulated the inflatability of the footballs that he threw so they were easier to catch. And he was found guilty by the NFL and suspended for 6 games? He took his punishment, confirming, as people who get presidential pardons, they have to say, I am a criminal. I am being forgiven, pardoned by my crimes. I say the same thing about Tom Brady. You're going to take the punishment. You're going to sit out the games. You're not going to fight it. You are guilty as charged. That's why you sat out those games, because you're a cheater. Now, that said, would I rather be stuck with Tom Brady or Jared Kushner? I would pick Tom Brady. Tom Brady says relationship with Donald Trump was mischaracterized. We haven't talked in years. Tampa Bay superstar quarterback Tom Brady told Variety in an interview published Thursday that he was so young when he used to golf with the 76-year-old former president, as Brady initially rose to fame as a quarterback of the New England Patriots in the early 2000s. That was 17 or 18 years ago. Brady told Variety when asked who would win when he golfed with Trump. I was so young. I got to go to private golf courses. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Brady told Variety he feels the press has just mischaracterized a lot. The press or Donald Trump? The pair's relationship. It was first called into question soon after Trump initially launched his 2016 presidential campaign. I haven't talked to him in a lot of years. I have plenty of my own flaws. I'm not here to point out anyone else's flaws. There are things I agree with. There are things I don't. There are things I agree with my wife about. There are things that I don't. I love her to death, but we don't always see eye to eye. Brady continued to say he does not see eye to eye with anyone. Because Donald Trump at that time was trying to say Tom Brady supports me, he loves me, he wants to be the president. He has endorsed me. He hasn't done it in public. He hasn't said anything anywhere about endorsing me, but believe me, only I know. Only I can fix it. I'm Donald Trump. Tom Brady loves me and wants Ivanka. I am not responsible for what other people say, said Tom Brady. I'm responsible for what I say. So if people want to say things that I said or that I'm about, that's up to them. I'm not going to respond to all those things all the time either. In 2002, after I won my first Super Bowl, Tom Brady said, Donald Trump, asked me to go judge a Miss USA competition, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world because I was 24 and I had a chance to do something like that. After that, Brady said, Trump would call him after games to let him know he had watched the star player and invite him out to play golf. Brady told Howard Stern in 2020 that Trump became someone who would come up to our games and stand on the sideline, and he would cheer for the Patriots. You can't undo things. Not that I would undo a friendship, Tom Brady said, but political support is a lot different than support for a friend. While the superstar quarterback appears sick of politics, he is building opportunities for his career when his NFL days do eventually come to a close. Brady says he does not know what his life will be like when he finally hangs up his number 12 jersey. So there you go. Tom Brady saying, not so fast. I don't even really know the guy. He knows me. He would come to my games and he would cheer me on. But I never met his daughter, and I don't want to have anything to do with either one of them. He got stuck with Jared Kushner. Now on to something really frightening and more serious. We have discovered in this brief time together today that Donald Trump is a fool and a madman, obsessed with things that don't matter to anyone but him. And yet you have millions and millions of people who fight for him. And in this article from The Atlantic, the title is, Trump supporters think they're in a fight to the death. So what is it about this Trump guy that makes all of these people accept his madness as their reality? It's really fascinating and terribly frightened, because I've wondered here many times on this Bulls.tv live stream, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. What is it about Trump that makes all of these, you would hope, rational, insane people follow the wants of a selfish madman? I think this article tries to address it. For all the defects Donald Trump has as a politician, he does possess certain skills, among them almost preternatural ability to tap into the sensibilities, the id of the American right. Right there. Terrifying. I got Jared Kushner. And we got Donald Trump. More than any other Republican candidate in 2016, Trump was in sync with the base of the party. He still is, as he prepares for what looks like another run for the presidency. And he gave this big speech billed as a policy address about public safety. Despite this speech's unruliness, certain themes in it are worth examining because they signal what a Trump campaign might look like. And even if he doesn't run, they reveal the mindset of the American right. These few things are the pillars of the GOP. First off is fear. Well, isn't that wonderful? Let's build a whole campaign, a whole philosophy of governing by scaring people. I don't understand it. If the hallmarks of Ronald Reagan's speeches were optimism, hope, and a sense of limitless possibilities, Trump's speeches are the antithesis. Trump is a genius at tapping into fear. In his speech, he portrayed America as not a great nation and facing significant challenges. America is a dystopia, hellish, desolate cesspool of crime on the edge of extinction. Oh yeah, let's vote for that guy. This dark view of the world reflects Trump's own dark temperament. But his description of America also resonates with many on the right. Believe that America is caught up in a spiral of doom. It reinforces the core belief among Trump supporters that things are so desperate. Embracing Trump's corruption and lawlessness is necessary to defeat the barbarians at the gates, the Democrats. Trump is positioning himself as the indispensable man, selfless public servant who, because of his boundless love for America and its people, will give up his life of comfort and ease to reluctantly re-enter the political arena. I'm doing it for America, said Trump. So, fear, grievances, is the next one. One of the things Trump understood from the moment he ran for president in 2016 was that the Republican Party's base was roiling with resentment and grievances. What a lovely group of people. Oh, I wish we could know them more, but, well, we got stuck with Jared Kushner. Its members felt patronized, disrespected, dishonored, and persecuted by the elite culture. They were sick of it. They were enraged by those Democrats, and they're not going to take it anymore. This time around, in his speech, Trump added something new to the narrative, representing himself as the persecuted for the sake of the people. If I renounced my beliefs, if I agreed to stay silent, if I stayed home and just took it easy, the persecution of Donald Trump would stop immediately. But that's not what I will do. A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. Anybody remember JFK? Had his head blown off in Dealey Plaza. Next is hate. Trump used his speech to portray his opponents as not just misguided, but wicked, not the musical, and therefore suitable objects of hate. America's 45th president said, despite great outside dangers, our biggest threat in this country remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within. The irony is lost on the man. What Trump has done in the eyes of his supporters is set up a clash. Now, this is the important part. The clash of epic biblical proportions. The children of light versus the children of darkness. Patriots versus traitors. The decent versus the depraved. In an existential conflict such as this, everything is permissible. Nothing is off limits. This is a fight to the death. Oof. They're coming for you. Whoever leads the Republican Party in the years ahead, the fear, grievances, and hate that Donald J. Trump has poured into the cauldron will not dissipate anytime soon. If and when the GOP finally does break away from the dark, fanatical, cult-like qualities that now characterize it, it will do so because the people who compromise and define it seek, even if imperfectly, what is true and good and honorable. For the Republican Party, the only way out is the way up. Why people are attracted to madness, I don't understand it. I guess it's because the madness pokes into their fear and their want to punish someone for their miserable tiny lives. And now we'll take our final blood pressure break of the day, returning to talk about France and meat and labeling. Back in a minute. And hey, we're back here on Bowles.tv, BOLES.tv, just waiting for the ad break to finish. And we are here with you live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. And Jana Marie, sweetheart, is here with you Saturdays and Sundays. Oh, yes, at 11 a.m. Eastern. Chatting in American Sign Language about life, fun facts, the world, monkeypox, vaccinations, lightning, dieting, many interesting topics. So we finish up today talking about veganism, vegetarianism, and the big fight that the big established companies have with the producers and the creators of, some call it fake meat, some call it fake dairy. And we're going to specifically talk about France and what they've just done. But a bit of perspective. A year or so ago, in the UK, especially the London area, makers of plant-based burgers were sued for false labeling. And the meat people, the meat commission, the animal killers, went to court and said, no. You cannot use the word burger. And they went to court, and a judge, whatever they call them there in the UK, said, yeah, you're right. Okay, we have to call it plant discs. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. That you can't call a veggie burger in the UK. A plant disc burger. Now, that is laughable and almost in extreme to be so completely mockable and hilarious that it loses all of its effectiveness. Nobody in the UK who eats a veggie burger is going to call it a plant disc. Law or no law. But then I'm reminded of our friend Miyoko, who has a whole cheese and oat milk butter spread. And she's done very well. I'm sure she's a multimillionaire. But she lost millions of dollars in a massive fight that's been going on, that went on for, I believe, 2 or 3 years, where she was being sued by the Dairy Association of America for the use of 2 words on her oat milk butter tub. She was sued for using the word milk and sued for using the word butter. Now, many vegans and vegetarians said, wait, what? We have almond milk. Milk doesn't mean dairy. There are all kinds of butter, almond butter, peanut butter. Is the dairy, are they going after the, Skippy and Jif? Oh, no. Dairy said, no. She's pretending she's a replacement for butter. Dairy butter from cows. The Dairy Association. No. She's trying to harm us. So they actually won an injunction against the beautiful Miyoko, where grocery stores had to take stickers paid for and provided by Miyoko that would black out the words milk and butter on her oat milk, dairy butter, non-dairy, buttermilk. So you buy with stickers over the words milk and butter. Ridiculously outrageous. So she went to court. Everyone who knew anything said she has everything on her side. She has provenance, she has history, she has almonds on her side, she has peanuts on her side, peanut milk, buttermilk, almond milk, peanut butter milk. But people knew that the Dairy Association was going to tie her up in court and force her to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars defending herself from this wrongful accusation. And they thought they could wait her out. They'll just stretch this out and make her pay and pay and pay. And she did pay and pay and pay. And then she recently won. She won. I don't think she won a judgment against the dairy people, because she wasn't doing that then. She was defending herself from this attack. So I hope she gets the money back, because she won, and she won big. It was a massive celebration. Now, for me personally, I love Miyoko. I do not like her cheeses. There's something in her cheeses that to me tastes sour. I don't know what it is. I've tried many, many, many of her cheeses. Her elite cheeses, her $20 cheeses that are this big. I don't like them. If I'm looking for a non-dairy cheese alternative, if I can use the word cheese, you know what I mean, and not get sued, Violife has the best tasting non-dairy cheese out there. I rest my case. And they have a really great, like, cream cheese. Wow. But it's not cream cheese. It's non-dairy cream cheese. But when I'm looking for a oat milk butter, you cannot beat Miyoko's. Absolutely fantastic. Delicious. She knows what she's doing. She fought the good fight. She has set legal precedents. Stare decisis has been put in place. And just wait until the Dairy Farmers of America go to the Supreme Court. And like Plant Disc before them, the Supreme Court will force Miyoko to call her oat milk butter. Oat foam. That's too creative. What would be a really stupid phrase? Oat tub of some kind of spread. I mean, the Dairy Association really went after her. The stickers part was the most ridiculous thing. And they won that, but it was very temporary. And now she's back. No stickers, no more stickers. So, hey, what's going on in France? France, shame on you, France bans the use of meat terms on vegetarian alternatives. And hey, it's all about big money, protecting interests. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your well-being. All they care about is the bottom line. Hey, France published a decree to stop vegetarian plant-based protein foods from describing themselves with terms traditionally used to describe meat products, with the exception of burger. Because the EU lost that one, Plant Disc. In a bid to counter increasingly popular meat alternatives, the ban will come into effect in October. Right? Yeah. The European Court of Justice concluded on 14 July that protected foodstuffs produced in the EU, even if intended for export to third countries, have to follow the relevant geographical indications protection legislation, ending a long-standing fight between Greece and Denmark over the use of labeling on feta cheese. This has echoes of champagne. Champagne can only be called champagne if it's made in France. Greece's white gold feta obtained protective designation of origin in 2002, meaning that the name feta cannot be used for any other cheese that is not produced in some specific area of the country. However, some Danish producers kept selling their own feta outside the EU, capitalizing on a loophole in the 2011 regulation on geographical indications, which did not specify explicitly whether these rules apply to exports. Beneficiaries will receive aid in the form of direct grants. For livestock producers, it'll be a fixed amount per animal, while payments to greenhouse producers will be based on the heated area for use of the production of fruits, berries, vegetables, mushrooms, sprouts, spices, or ornamental plants during February and June. The measure will be open to companies of all sizes active in 2 sectors that have been affected by the increase in price of electricity. So what happened is these other companies were calling their, I don't want to say fake cheese, but their non-dairy cheese feta. And Violife, if I'm remembering it correctly, has a delicious feta cheese. There is a vegan feta cheese out there. And Greece is saying, no, you can't call it feta. At least in the EU. Because we own feta and it comes from cows. So you can't say imitation feta, you have to come up with a different name. Well, feta cheese has a very specific taste and type and texture. And Gordon says, talking about Champagne, not just France, the Champagne region of France. Right. I find it ridiculous, but I guess it has to do with the grapes or the EU recommendation. I don't know how it's possible. So what do they call sparkling wine? They call it some ridiculous thing. Even in the US, they don't call champagne. Like Corbel, I don't know what they call it. Sparkling something. Big thing. So you have to be very careful now, especially in the EU where they're very old and they all protect what has come before. And we used to do that here in the United States, but not so much anymore. At least not with the defeat of Rome. Gordon suggests they could say, instead of feta, fauta. Love that. And we would know what they mean, because we have to play those games with these labelings. But I have to say that the non-dairy version of feta is absolutely delicious, and if my memory serves, tastes exactly like that of which is designated now only to be used and consumed in Greece. So what a battle you have, where traditional lines are drawn and people want to fight and talk about labeling, and you can't call me that and I can call you this. And we're just lucky we have people like Miyoko who are very successful, have a lot of money, and are not going to take it anymore. Gordon, once again correcting my pronunciations, Gordon says not fauta, like faux pas, fota. Have I shown you what Gordon did to our intermission font? This is the result of Gordon picking on us. This used to say, be right back. But Gordon, the same Commissioner Gordon who is correcting my pronunciation, said he didn't like the font. So in protest and solidarity with Miyoko and Jared Kushner, we came up with this wing-ding-batty thing that is now our font that says be right back. Okay? Just to set the context. And hey, we love Gordon. We love his corrections. We accept everything he says because otherwise we'll get away with terrible things. Gordon also says we should go on Fiverr.com and find someone to make a nice Be Right Back screen that's Bolzian. Now that's interesting. I didn't know other people could create Bolzian. You never know. And Gordon says, there comes a fiber, and we'll see what happens with the fiber. The only thing about OBS is the font is very tiny. Streamlabs, I can make the font a little bit easier, so I have to squint to see things. Fiverr is the best place for freelance services for your business. Now, I know some people don't like Fiverr because they say it's $5, but then, it's $5 if you don't want anything. And $1 million if you want it to look good. But I don't know, the protest font is, appealing to me because it gives me a route of concentration and rebuttal, and I get corrected for my pronunciations. But Fiverr is good. I used them several years back for something. Some person was designing something, and it was fine, acceptable for government use, as they say. So now we've come to the end of our time together. It's been a wonderful, interesting show, full of laughter and crying and a little bit of correction. So if you want to email me, you can email me, david@bowles.tv. You can find me on Twitter @DavidBowles, super follows to follow. On Facebook, it's BOLES. On Instagram, Bowles Books, TikTok, Bowles TV. And on Discord, if you're interested in hanging out. Oh, Gordon says, signing off for Winter Garden, Florida. Thanks for having us. And I reply, we'll see you in a day or two, and I'll have more ideas for you. Here's our Discord server if you want to join us. We have new sections, new fun things. Oh no, look at this. Join our Discord server and chat. Wait, am I getting all that? Okay. I'm getting something here as administrator. Discord server, invite, channel, rules, server. That's cool looking. Hey! There's Jana Marie. Have a good day. Good show. Oh, thank you, Jana Marie. Let's see, now I'm going to have to reply to her directly because that's a new skill we're learning. Thank you, my love. So glad to have you with us today. Yay! And then I reply to Jana Marie. Cute. Yay, Jana Marie. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a good nap, a nice rest, good contemplation, a little bit of meditation, maybe a little kettlebell swing or two. And when you shall awaken, may your soul be filled with joy and no Jared Kushner. I'll see you tomorrow.